As to be expected, there is a lot of news and rumors buzzing around these internet streets. A lot of rumors as the draft approaches. The NFL offseason is starting to heat up. How does it all relate to the squad, to the San Francisco 49ers? Let's get into it, y'all. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Ryan Tigey, back in action. Had to jump on here. A lot of things are cooking and buzzing around these internet streets. Wanted to address a few of them, the ones that I think are the most relevant. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first, fresh off the press, 49ers hire former Seattle Seahawks linebacker KJ Wright to the staff as, wait for it, assistant linebacker coach. He recently made the announcement on social media as well as just did a YouTube video.
And yes, it is true. I am the new linebacker assistant coach / defensive quality control coach of the San Francisco 49ers. I am thoroughly excited. I am really, really happy for this opportunity. I'm really, really happy for the Niners organization believing in me, trusting me with their franchise, and compete against those guys since day one. My first ever NFL game was against the Niners. And I remember after that game, my dad coming up to me saying, "Man, you think you can play in this league?" I said, "Heck yeah, I know I can play in this league." It was going against the Niners. And here I am 13, 14 years down the road, about to be coaching for him.
Had no idea that guy was running a podcast, but nonetheless, former Seattle Seahawks who played 11 seasons in the NFL, saw the light and is coming to the Bay. For those 49er fans who can remember, he was a part of those runs with Seattle, went to the Super Bowl, got a ring. I think his final year in the NFL, he played with the Raiders, drafted in 2011. But nonetheless, he seems fired up about it. I'm fired up about it. Dude was a solid player in the NFL. So he is now officially a San Francisco 49er. Similar to what happened with Richard Sherman as he came and saw the light and moved over to the Bay. Same thing with KJ Wright, who I must say said he's going to be called Coach K, not Coach KJ, Coach K. Another thing I'm seeing getting a lot of media of attention is the rumors going around the San Francisco 49ers are going to make a trade for Zach Wilson. I'm going to call bullshit on this one. Why? Because I think the 49ers, they've already tried this experiment. Yes, the 49ers did obviously a lot of work when Zach Wilson was coming out of college at BYU because that's when they drafted.
With the third pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Trey Lance, quarterback, North Dakota State.
And it is the Bison.
And I think Zach Wilson has proven he's not a good quarterback. It's okay. He's not a good quarterback. His decision-making is atrocious. Every couple of games, there would be an insane highlight of his athleticism, his arm strength, whatever the case is. But the overarching film shows you Zach Wilson is not a quarterback, a starting quarterback in the NFL. Now, I'm sure many of you will say, he could be a backup. He could be a third string. Zach Wilson is a very polarizing player. He was picked, as we all know, second in the draft to the New York Jets. But everything that's come out about Zach Wilson, whether it be through Hard Knocks with the Jets or just his play on the field, the dude is not good. I don't know what value the 49ers would see to let alone to bring him in the building, but then also specifically to trade for Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson has shown he's not ready for the moment. And if the 49ers needed him to come in and play, God forbid if something were to go down with Brock, could Zach Wilson do it? I would have zero faith. If you talk to Jets fans, they got to witness it in real time as Zach Wilson was a starting quarterback for a little bit. And it was just awful all the way around. The dude didn't even necessarily want to play last year. He was so fine being the backup to Aaron Rodgers. And I think even at one point after Aaron Rodgers went down the very first game with the New York Jets, he told Robert Saleh at one point, I don't even want to play. I don't even want to start. That's not a guy you want in the building. We want the QB room to be simpatico, not divisive. And I don't know what value Zach Wilson and how he would fit into that QB room of the San Francisco 49ers. And I understand he wouldn't be a starter, anything of that nature, but he's also a guy that comes around with a lot of media attention. A lot of shit we witnessed him with the Mills this past offseason, him playing horribly, all the rumors that were coming out of the Jets as the season went going. I mean, if you looked at Robert Saleh in some of those games where Zach Wilson was playing, you almost felt sorry for Robert Saleh, having to just basically stand there like a statue and just try to get through another game. So I don't think the 49ers need the distraction. I'm sure that this rumor very well could have come from Zach Wilson's camp. That is something a lot of players and their agents will do. Hey, look at the San Francisco 49ers may even trade for Zach Wilson. If one of the best teams in the NFL likes him, what are you guys missing? So I think it's a ploy from the Jets and or Zach Wilson and his camp himself. There could have been a small conversation like all these GMs do at the NFL Combine. They talk about players, who's available, who's not. What do you think about this guy? Are there any issues with this guy? That's what happens in the scouting combine, which just occurred, obviously. And it could have just been a simple conversation like that somehow got leaked out to the media. But I don't think it's something the Niners would ever take seriously, let alone this could just be something drummed up from the Zach Wilson camp. Some other news that came out, Lions re-signed quarterback Emmanuel Moseley. Emmanuel Moseley, if you remember, a former San Francisco 49er, dude was a stud, drafted him, and he started playing really good as a cornerback, got injured, and then ultimately signed when he was a free agent with the Lions. Once he got with the Lions, he has gotten injured again. I think it was another ACL. So he recently just signed a new 1-year deal with the Lions. Hopefully he can stay healthy, but he was a dude I liked on the squad. I sometimes imagine, when he was playing his best ball with the 49ers, how would that look with All-Pro Mooney Ward on opposite side of the field, just locking shit down. But nonetheless, we already got a fucking dog on the other side of Mooney Ward in Diamador Lenore. So we're good with that. But nonetheless, former 49er gets signed 1-year deal with the Detroit Lions. Speaking of Mooney Ward, I've also seen some rufflings and some rumors out there that the 49ers are looking to restructure his contract and extend him. That would be something I would absolutely love. All-Pro Mooney Ward's been playing his best football. The dude's in his prime, locked down. Let's keep that guy for the long term because he has been the best corner the 49ers had in this Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch era. Also, speaking of restructures and deal extensions, I've also seen things floating out there around the 49ers wanting to do the same thing with one and only Fred Warner.
And let's go now. It's personal with these boys.
Let's get that done, John and Kyle. Fred Warner, a staple in this 49ers team, let alone the defense, the leader. He is somebody I think everybody would be happy with if the 49ers were able to extend. He is a guy you don't want to lose, still in his prime. And I think the 49ers understand this year may be the last year they keep the core or the band together, with guys getting older, guys getting more injured, guys getting paid a shit ton of money. Contract situations are on the horizon. I think the 49ers understand this is their year. They have to do it with Brock Purdy still on the rookie contract. They have to make the push. So I would also anticipate the 49ers, John Lynch, Parag Marathe, the money guru, making some big moves this offseason. Might not be superstars like it was like last year in Javon Hargrave, but I assume the 49ers are going to hit the ground fucking running once the official new season starts, and they don't have to worry about tampering. So I would expect the 49ers, they're going to make some moves because they know they can't keep this thing going together forever when guys are getting this old, this expensive. So be on the lookout for the 49ers getting locked and loaded for this season. Other piece of news as we talk about the 49ers, this isn't about the 49ers specifically, but Seattle Seahawks, they released their safeties, Jamal Adams and Jaquandre Diggs. That was fresh off the press. And what's interesting is Jamal Adams, before he got to Seattle, he was Seattle's answer to George Kittle. George Kittle has shredded the Seattle Seahawks the entire time he's been on the 49ers. And I remember when they signed him, Jamal Adams, that he was the answer to be the George Kittle stopper. Well, that obviously didn't work out. The dude's battled a shit ton of injuries. He seems like an absolute diva behind the scenes, but nonetheless, Jamal Adams, Quandre Diggs out from Seattle. So good news for the 49ers because there's a high probability they'll bring in some young guys. And as Liam Neeson would say in Taken, good luck.
I will find you, and I will kill you.
Good luck.
Now, for those who aren't living under a rock, I'm sure you guys all saw Jason Kelce, All-Pro, Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champ center, Travis Kelce's older brother, officially retired in a very emotional press conference yesterday. It was a really dope press conference to listen to. You can clearly see how much football means to the guy, everything it's done for him in his life. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. Regardless how you feel about Philadelphia, trust me, I ain't that big of a fan of him either, but Jason Kelce, I am. And it was a unbelievable press conference, a little bit lengthy. It's like 17, 18 minutes, something like that, but it's worth a watch if you guys are bored, just because he tells some good stories that were behind the scenes throughout the years. They're just pretty cool to listen to. And again, more good news for the 49ers because an all-pro center out of the NFC, I guess you can call it rival, Eagles, is no longer there. So that's good news for the 49ers as well. And then the final piece of news I have to address, Mr. Unlimited himself, Mr. Broncos Country. Let's ride.
Broncos Country, let's ride. Broncos Country, let's ride. Broncos Country, let's ride. Broncos Country, let's ride.
Russell Wilson is cut from the Denver Broncos. It is going to be the largest cap hit in NFL history in dead cap money that the Broncos are taking on. $85 million over the next 2 years. The Broncos are going to pay Russ Wilson, but are not going to have his services. Holy shit. $85 million. That is absolutely insane. It really speaks to how they feel about him. Sean Payton, clearly not a fucking fan, but he is that much of a human being they dislike that they're willing to pay him $85 million over the next 2 years just to get him out of the fucking building. So the inventor of the Danger Witch is out in the Denver Broncos. His dead cap hit is more than double the previous NFL record, which was Matt Ryan, around $40 million when he left Atlanta. But this isn't Russell Wilson's first time making this history list. No. Russell Wilson also made history when he moved on from Seattle, and Seattle took a $26 million dead cap hit, which was the highest at that time. So he's made the list not once, but twice. And this one, I don't know when this one, if ever, is going to get beat. But my God, $85 million. Hey, good for Russ. You know, the guy knows how to negotiate contracts. But again, what does that say? He always comes off as being like a fake robot, action star, human being. He doesn't seem real half the time. You hear about all the shit coming out, him literally fake waving to the crowd in warmups when there's nobody in the stands, him doing lunges and up downs on the aisle of the airplane during team travel. I mean, just a weird, odd guy. And it speaks to a lot about what the Broncos feel about him, that they're willing to bite this bullet and then move along. Some teams I have heard that may be interested in Mr. Unlimited himself, Russell Wilson, the Minnesota Vikings, Kirk Cousins, the belle of the ball in free agency. Everyone's been talking about how he's already house hunting in Georgia with the anticipation of going over to the Atlanta Falcons. And so if that happens, I think Russell Wilson would be a good fit. Any team that picks up Russell Wilson, they'd have to pay them the vet minimum because the Broncos are already set to pay him $85 million over the next 2 years. They can sign him for the vet minimum. A team that's going to be paying a wide receiver an all-time contract in Justin Jefferson. They're saying he's going to make around $30 million a year. I'm in the wrong profession. He's expected to get the absolute bag. And so they're not going to be able to afford some vet quarterback unless you're able to play him the vet minimum. Russell Wilson would fit right in there. Kevin McDonald, the head coach over there, is an awesome coach. He won with the Pastronaut this past year. That was a story for a little bit, huh? They won with him, and I think Russell Wilson could be a potential fit there. Somebody who still threw 28 touchdowns last year and only had like 8 interceptions. It was a good ratio of touchdowns, interceptions, but that would be a natural fit. I've also heard the Pittsburgh Steelers I'm putting a little less stock into that one just because they got Kenny Pickett over there. They've already said they're going to give him his actual shot this year. And Russ Wilson just doesn't seem like a Pittsburgh guy. He's not a Yinzer. He's not remotely identifies with that city whatsoever as a lunch pail, hard hat type town, blue collar. That ain't Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson thinks he is a megastar, which he's not, but he thinks he is. And then the last team that I've heard is the Las Vegas Raiders. I would absolutely love if the Raiders get him just because that would be comedy to watch. But I also think Antonio Pierce and Russell Wilson couldn't be further from opposite personalities and just men in general, even to work on a professional basis. I don't see that working in any which way. Jimmy G, as we all know, is already out of the Raiders. But I still think it would be fun if Russ Wilson went to Las Vegas. Oh, baby, he would love the lights. But I just don't see that happening. So once the dominoes start to fall, specifically Kirk Cousins, depending on what he does, will dictate a lot, because then what's going to happen to Justin Fields and then what's going to happen to Russell Wilson. That's the news going around the NFL right now. As the draft quickly approaches, as more news comes out, I'll be back giving you all the updates on the latest and greatest around the NFL. Until then, like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal. Hit me up. Peace.